It would come as no surprise that this article would, and this writer would find Jordan Peterson's ThinkSpot website problematic, because obviously they would, you know. What is people's problem with Jordan Peterson? They ask questions. Gets people to think. Slewed Kathy Newton, I don't know where it is. The fact that they try to attack him by saying, well, the majority of your YouTube viewers is one thing that went on. It's like 80% male. And he's like, it's like as if that's some sort of point. It's like, well, there's a book and a movie series called the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Well, guess who reads that and watches those films? Well, it's majority female. Is that problematic that girls like stories about traveling, about a pair of trousers that fits 4 different sizes of girls and accompanies them on wonderful summer vacation adventures? Is that a problem? For goodness sake, shut up. Anyway, but look, see, free speech isn't under threat. It just suits bigots and bores to just suggest so. It merely has become a very right-wing talking point now, free speech. And it's sort of become problematic in that regards, because a lot of people say it go on about free speech it's sort of, it's become a right versus left thing recently, and it shouldn't be at all, but everything has become that now, hasn't it? And us that do not care for that kind of thing are left to get pissed on in the wind. So that's nice, isn't it? Jordan Peterson, but are Western societies really afraid of open debate? Yes. Yes, because they won't entertain other ideas. Talk about open debate, because you've got a closed-minded situation. You see, you're closed-minded to other closed-mindedness, so therefore you're closed-minded. Okay, like the debate of abortion. People just go, no, it's women's rights to get rid of a baby. As end of discussion all the time. What about homosexuality? What transgenderism? How about race and IQ? These sort of things that can be debated about. Anything that there might be some data on, but it proves way too problematic because it's going to upset people. People ain't going to entertain and open. Some people don't even want to discuss that kind of shit. All right. Okay. So it's I call bullshit. If you want to openly debate, all those parents in Birmingham that don't want their kids to be taught LGBTQ classes. You want to openly debate? Go openly debate them. Or would you want to openly berate them? There's a difference. You can't say anything these days. Free speech is a thing of the past. Young people today can't cope with reality, and you try to tell them about it, you'll get arrested. You may think we live in a free society, but if you cross the PC brigade, they'll haul you in for questioning and then they'll disappear you. This sort of argument is everywhere. It often seems like the first line of defense when a notable figure has overstepped the mark. And just this month, the academic Jordan Peterson launched a website, ThinkSpot, to protect users from all the censorship that is around right now. The argument that you can't say anything was given a boost when in 2015 The Atlantic magazine published The Coddling of American Mind, an article by Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff, suggesting that young people, particularly students, were attempting to shut down discussions about topics they disagreed with. Well, yes, universities, they argued, were sacrificing knowledge on the altar of hurt student feelings. Then the explosion. Thousands of articles were written defending free speech against undergraduates, along with a slew of books from Mike Hume's Trigger Warning to Claire Fox's I Find That Offensive, to Haidt's 2018 book borrowing the title of the original Atlantic article. There has been the phenomenon of Jordan Peterson, who says the unsayable, but is still somehow a best-selling author. Almost every piece on SpikedOnline.com has an argument defending free speech. Yes, well, you do know that certain books have been banned from Amazon. You do know that certain YouTube channels have been taken down. You do know that certain people are getting deplatformed. You do know about all of this stuff, right? People losing their jobs, blah, 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 blah. People, you do know about all this, right? Yeah, people getting arrested, put in prison. You do know about that, right? Okay, just because Jordan Peterson is a best-selling author doesn't say anything. In 2017, the UK government got involved, suggesting universities might be fined if they know platform campaigners with controversial views. This month, Alabama's governors signed a new measure into law requiring universities to allow students to freely express their thoughts on campus. But is free speech really under threat? The first thing to say is that the scale of the problem in universities has been exaggerated. The practice of denying people speaking slots over their views has rightly caused concern, but every single instance has also attracted vast coverage in national papers, giving the impression of an epidemic. They are not reflective of the feelings of most students. Well, I mean, there's a fair argument, because on one side, there is mass coverage in the news every time it happens, but then, so it is blown out of proportion. But then you do have this very vocal minority of, people at universities who do deplatform people and shout and scream and they're very vocal and very loud. It was a very vocal minority that went after Jordan Peterson that made him famous in the first place. I think most people, I found out about Jordan Peterson on an H3 podcast and I remember seeing the piece when they were calling him Nazi scum and shit like that. And they brought him, and he started speaking on the H3 podcast. And a lot of people think he was supposed to, and when he went on Joe Rogan, because when he was talking about general things about how to lead a better life and things to improve your relationships and stuff, we had no idea who this guy was, and he was saying all this stuff, and we go, oh, that's amazing, and it was so positive for a lot of people. And yet everyone just wants to focus on the facts that he, his arguments for free speech. It's like that is not just the man. The man has many layers to him. There's a lot of shit going on with him. There's a lot of good, positive stuff comes from that guy. That's why people have been drawn to him. But no, they'd rather say that it's just attack him because of certain beliefs he has. It's like, come off it, man. You're doing more good than bad. Totally outweighing. The fact if it takes someone like Jordan Peterson to get across to a disenfranchised group of young men and bring them back from the dark side, because everyone else on this, because other people would rather not hear from these young men and just shit all over them. If it takes this man to bring people back in, then fucking that is someone doing way more good than you're doing in the world. Okay, so when you wake up in the morning, just remember that guy is doing way more for humanity than you are doing, okay? So why don't you start doing something better yourself, all right? How about that, my friends? In 2018, a YouGov poll found British students were no keener to see speakers banned than the general public. In the US, a Knight Foundation survey found students were less likely than the overall population to support restrictions of free speech on campus, and Jeffrey Sachs, a US political scientist, found that there had been no generational shift in tolerance. There is also the fact that the handful of noisy zealots is only interested in a couple of topics. Minority rights, to be specific. They are unlikely to turn their sights, say, to physics, economics, or music. Well, it depends on the context. And the narrative has been run ahead of the facts, too. In 2017, a Telegraph article claimed a Cambridge student, Lola Ulufemi, had forced her university to drop white authors from the syllabus when she had simply made some recommendations in an open letter for including more non-white authors. Of course, that shit happened. But you lot are as guilty as misinformation as the others. And I tell you this, also, with these polls and stuff, you could probably find data that totally contradicts what those polls say. Hence, that's why data can be tricky. Guarantee it, go look it up. There'll be other data sets that go, no, that's not the case. So you can pick and choose where you get your data from. Everyone can do that to support your argument or to destroy someone else's argument. Everyone can do that. Because you get left-wing and right-wing think tanks that launch polls with questions that suit, are geared towards getting the answer that they want. That happens a lot, by the way. Okay? Just so you know. And you should know that. Okay? In 2018, Sam Guillemard, the university minister, told an audience at the Festival of Higher Education that a student had accused the history lecturer of hate speech after an insensitive telling of the Berlin blockade. Research, a new website, investigated the claim, but no evidence emerged to support it. Most importantly, give us a link so we can see it. Most importantly, free speech defenders are muddled about what is happening. They see millennial snowflakes doing something dangerous, taking the first steps down a slope that begins with wanting to be warned when books include rape scenes and ends in communist Russia. But they forget that even in free countries, speech has always been limited by social rules, not least one about simple politeness. If you're rude to a lecturer, for example, you might expect to be thrown out of a classroom. I know. If you're rude about a minority group, they might try to stop you being invited to speak at the university. If you say something people don't like, they might say something you don't like back. Countries without free speech tend to have it written into law or otherwise enforced by the states. We are not quite there. Well, no, that's bullshit. That's nonsense. Go look at the countless cases of people being prosecuted for nonsense. So that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You can't tell me that a young girl who posts up lyrics from a Snapdog tune on Instagram gets charged for putting out lyrics on fucking Instagram. A girl gets charged. Right? Alright? No, that and that. And I don't care if that's one incident. There's countless other incidents. That's just like kind of a popular one. But that one incident is one incident too many as far as I'm fucking concerned. Okay, so no, that's a nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Okay, come correct. Free speech advocates also misunderstand the motivation of those who might want to shut down a debate. They see this as a surefire mark of intolerance, but some debates should be shut down. Really? For public dialogue to make any progress, it's important to recognize when a particular debate has been won and leave it there. Right, okay. Even the most passionate free speech advocate might not wish to reopen the debate into whether women should be tried for witchcraft or whether ethnic minorities should be allowed to go to university or whether the earth is flat. No platformers are not scared. They simply think certain debates are over. You may disagree, but it does not mean they are against free speech. Well, no, that is against free speech. It's about freely saying what you believe. Yeah. You can still debate someone about flat earth, even though most of us know that is a load of nonsense, but they don't. You get it. So therefore you're going to have to debate them on it because they still fucking believe it. Like, people still believe stuff. Do you not get it that people still believe stuff? Right? So what you're saying now is that homosexuality is perfectly fine. It's legal, right? Perfectly acceptable in our free and open society. And yet you have this minority of people that don't believe in it, don't want it taught to their children. But because that debate, so what you're saying is that debate has already been won, because it has been won, because it's legal, right? It's perfectly legal. The majority of people are fine with it, morally. There's no homophobic laws anymore. Okay, right. You can't discriminate against people who are homosexual, for employment or letting them into a club or whatever. So we will not debate the parents of those children in Birmingham. This is just, I'm using this example because that debate's been won. It's been dealt with. So they're just ignorant idiots. Is that what you're saying? They're idiots, so we don't need to debate with them about about whether it's right and wrong to teach the kids. We just teach their kids outright, and they're going to have to put up and shut up. That they're not allowed to talk about it. But can they talk about it? We don't need to debate them. Is that what you're saying? We don't need to debate with them. That's your argument. Right. There is also the problem of self-awareness. The trouble with free speech defense is that it works to shut down any argument against it. You want to say something boring or irrelevant or malicious. Claim someone is trying to ban you from saying it. Dissent isn't merely dissent then. It's censure, and censorship should be banned. Your opponents are against free discussion and shouldn't be allowed to engage in it. You can tack free speech onto any crackpot prejudice you have, and suddenly you're a lone truth teller standing up to the hordes. It's a clever rhetorical trick, the free speech defense, but it shouldn't be taken much more seriously than that. Oh, shut up, man. That's bullshit. Because there's certain ideas are getting pushed that are backed up by nonsense and not even by science. And they're being introduced as law, but you have to follow it. this stuff is happening. So therefore, the law says this is fine, even though science says there's no proof for it. But the lawmakers say no, this is how it is, and you're not going to debate with that, right? Because so you shouldn't question that, right? Because you're going to be censored. You will be censored for saying something. You know the sort of topics we're talking about. What about giving puberty blockers to like little kids? I'm totally against that. But that's fine. But apparently it's legal. There's legality to it. But I think it's fucking immoral and mental. I think it's mental. So, but that's wrong. I'm wrong. Because the law says it. I'm wrong. Apparently I'm prejudiced. Apparently that's some sort of, that makes me a bad person because I believe in the rights of children. Abortion's legal, but is it morally correct? Some people would argue no. But it's accepted by law. It doesn't mean you can't debate it. The argument hasn't been lost just because a law says. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. What the hell are you talking about? You know, you want to say something boring or relevant or malicious. Claim someone is trying to ban you from saying it. So you're saying that no, freedom of speech is all speech. You don't understand it. Even bad stuff, you should be allowed to say it, because one day it might be true. Like, don't forget, you talk about let's go bring it back to homosexuality. I think it's a very interesting topic. 50 years ago, it was totally illegal in the UK. You were people in jail for it. If you spoke out and said, and so the argument was already won in your sort of thinking. The argument's been won because the lawmaker said, no, that's illegal. You go to jail for doing that or for even advocating it. All right. You're shut down. Things were censored for advocating homosexuality. Okay. But then because people are allowed to like openly say it, you know, you should be allowed to say, no, I think it's wrong that people are in jail for that. Well, you're not allowed to say that? Because time will tell. Time will tell a different story. People will be in jail for shit that isn't even illegal anymore. And you're also saying no, but no, we shouldn't have a debate because the debate's been won. No, the debate's never been won because life is an ongoing thing. We learn, like learning never stops, and new ideas come out and new discoveries happen. It could be one day. Here's a crazy example for you. One day it might happen. One day it might happen that that we discover the Earth actually is flat, and it all gets revealed that the Earth is flat, and it's all been this big conspiracy that they say it is. You know, NASA's not real, and every video's fake, and every scientist is a liar. It's more than possible. We lived under a dark cloud for many, many generations. We're still living under a dark cloud. Like, you're stupid if you don't think that there's a dark cloud. One day the Earth may be proven to be flat. It could fucking happen, because who's to say that we know more about the world than 100 years, the people 100 years in the future? You think this is the pinnacle of intelligence, the pinnacle of discovery? Is this? It's very close-minded of you to even think that. You're just being silly. But you write for The Guardian, so that's why you're silly, you know. So I'll let you off. No, I'll never let you off. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, send me a bouquet of flowers. I have feelings.